Urgent. Western command centers no longer safe. Russia's new weapon changes everything. What happened in June 2025 isn't just another military operation. It's the day warfare changed forever. Deep underground, beneath meters of reinforced concrete, Western commanders thought they were untouchable. They were wrong. Russia's hypersonic strike on a supposedly impenetrable bunker wasn't just a demonstration. It was a message. Think about it. If no bunker is safe, what's the point of NATO's trillion-dollar defense infrastructure? But here's what's really disturbing. This wasn't a lucky shot. This was a carefully orchestrated operation combining satellite intelligence, ground reconnaissance, and cutting-edge technology. The precision was unprecedented. They didn't just hit the bunker. They found its weakest point and exploited it. Western analysts are in panic mode. Their entire defense doctrine was based on one assumption: that their command centers were safe underground. That assumption just got buried under rubble. The most chilling part? This changes military planning worldwide. When a country can strike any target with surgical precision, mass formations become obsolete. The new battlefield isn't about numbers. It's about precision and intelligence. Look at the reaction in Western capitals. Complete silence. But that silence speaks volumes. They're scrambling to understand how their most secure facilities became vulnerable overnight. This isn't just about military capability. It's about psychological warfare. Every commander sitting in a bunker now knows they're not safe. Every decision-maker has to think twice. The invulnerable has become vulnerable. And here's what nobody's talking about: the cost factor. NATO spent billions on these underground facilities. Russia just proved they might as well be paper shelters. How will Western taxpayers react when they learn their money went into obsolete defenses? The timing is crucial. Why now? What's coming next? The answer may shock you when we break down the strategic implications. Write in the comments where you're watching from. We need to understand how far this news has spread. Because what happened in that bunker isn't just a military event, it's the beginning of a new era in global security. But what truly sent shockwaves through Western military circles was the unprecedented operation of June 29th. Russia deployed 537 aerial weapons, from hypersonic missiles to drones, in a single coordinated strike. NATO scrambled defensive aircraft, fearing even accidental passage of Russian missiles through their airspace. This wasn't just a military operation. It was a message. The strike demonstrated a crucial shift in modern warfare. We're no longer talking about massive ground forces or traditional air campaigns. This is surgical precision targeting command centers, bypassing conventional defense systems. Western intelligence services have acknowledged significant advances in Russian guidance systems. The psychological impact has been profound. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte's admission that Russia remains the primary challenge takes on new meaning. The alliance is pushing members to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, a clear sign of mounting pressure. Moscow's strategy is clear. Precision strikes on key facilities are proving more effective than large-scale operations. They're sending a message. Foreign units operating under different flags become legitimate targets. This has created tension within NATO command structures. Western representatives, while dismissing casualty figures as information operations, don't deny the bunker strikes themselves. The situation in border regions has become critical, with air defense resources stretching thin and Western military aid facing delays. What's truly concerning is how events are developing even faster than anticipated. The game is changing rapidly, and what happened next is where things get interesting. Speaking of which, where are you watching from? If you're outside Russia, share your perspective. How are these events being covered in your country? Your insights are crucial for understanding the full picture. But first, let me tell you about an unexpected move that could completely reshape this situation. In recent weeks, we've witnessed a fundamental shift in military dynamics. The command structures in the politically turbulent region are desperately seeking new locations for their control systems, faced with the constant threat of hypersonic strikes. This creates a new military reality where traditional concepts of a safe rear area become increasingly obsolete. The attacks on Russian strategic facilities failed to achieve their intended effect. Instead, they triggered a precise and forceful response from our general staff. The focus has shifted dramatically. Now the primary targets are not infrastructure objects, but decision-making centers. Particularly, locations housing Western specialists, instructors, and NATO liaison officers who coordinate military operations in the country bordering the Russian Federation. The watershed moment came with the deployment of the Kinzhal hypersonic missile against a deeply buried underground facility in the conflict zone. This former Soviet command post, situated more than 50 meters below ground, was protected by multiple layers of reinforced concrete and rock formations. According to various sources, up to 170 personnel were present during the strike, including military personnel from the US, UK, Poland, and other NATO countries. Reports suggest high-ranking American military officials were among them. This event marks the transition to a new phase of direct military technical confrontation with Western military infrastructure. The successful deployment of Kinzhal against such a heavily fortified underground facility demonstrates that no target is truly invulnerable. The use of hypersonic weapons against NATO specialists in the region of instability signals Russia's readiness to defend its interests with maximum determination. The alliance now faces a critical choice: risk further involvement, or reconsider their participation level in response to Russia's strategy of targeting critical infrastructure. This new reality challenges previous assumptions about battlefield sanctuary and forces a fundamental reassessment of NATO's approach. What do you think about the use of such precision weapons? Leave your point of view in the comments. I believe my viewers are thoughtful and smart. I want to hear your take. Breaking news that's shaking the foundations of modern warfare. Literally. The recent hypersonic strike has caused an earthquake in military circles, though you won't hear much about it in official channels. Their silence speaks volumes about what just happened. Let's analyze this game-changing moment. A fortified command center in the politically turbulent area, once thought impenetrable, became the target. Satellite imagery showed regular activity, vehicles coming and going, confirming it as an active command post. That routine created a false sense of security. Russia's response? The Kinzhal, a hypersonic marvel launched from a MiG-31K. This isn't just another missile. Flying over 2,000 kilometers at Mach 10+, carrying a 500-kilo warhead, it's changing the rules of modern warfare. Neither Patriot nor French SAMP systems can touch it. With 3 to 5 meter accuracy, it turns reinforced bunkers into tin cans. The strategic shift is clear. Russia's moving from traditional position warfare to precision strikes against command structures in the former Soviet Republic. This isn't about showing muscle, it's about rewriting military doctrine. When even deep underground facilities aren't safe anymore, the whole defensive playbook needs revision. Western experts are quietly admitting their air defense systems are helpless against this technology. Imagine hundreds of heavy trucks colliding at over 100 km/h. That's the destructive power we're talking about. The missile heats to thousands of degrees during flight, combining hypersonic speed with penetrating power and precision guidance. NATO faces a serious dilemma. Their entire defensive strategy was built on the assumption that command centers could be protected. That assumption just got shattered along with those reinforced bunkers. The diplomatic silence is deafening. Nobody wants to publicly acknowledge this new reality. This isn't just about military technology, it's about psychological impact. Every commander in every bunker now knows they're vulnerable. That changes decision-making, strategy, and the entire approach to modern warfare. What do you think about the current event? Leave your answer in the comments. In June 2025, Russia demonstrated a capability that changed the entire landscape of modern warfare. The successful deployment of the Kinzhal hypersonic missile against a deeply buried military bunker marked a turning point in military history. This wasn't just another strike. It was a clear message to the Western coalition about the new rules of engagement. The target was a command center located in a neighboring state of Russia, buried 50 meters underground. What was once considered an impenetrable fortress became vulnerable in seconds. According to sources, over 200 military specialists, including NATO officers, were present in this reserve command center. The Western silence on this matter speaks volumes about the significance of the destroyed facility. The technical specifications of the Kinzhal are remarkable. Built with heat-resistant titanium and tungsten alloys, the missile can withstand extreme flight conditions. Its composite protective layer prevents overheating and makes the missile practically invisible to radar systems. The key advantage lies in its ability to concentrate impact energy at a single point, effectively burning through fortifications. This technological breakthrough represents a fundamental shift in global security architecture. Russia has made it clear: any center coordinating military actions against Russian forces becomes a legitimate target, regardless of its location or flag. This new conflict philosophy states that if you're directing fire, you're a combatant, and no bunker can provide absolute protection anymore. The strikes against coordination and intelligence facilities have moved the confrontation into an open phase. Experts estimate that the missile can penetrate dozens of meters of concrete and rock, performance levels unattainable even for tactical nuclear weapons. This capability transforms the very nature of military installations' vulnerability. Western defense systems, long considered adequate protection, now face a serious challenge. The successful deployment of hypersonic weapons against heavily fortified targets shows Russia's technological superiority in this domain. This development forces a complete reassessment of military defense strategies worldwide. Breaking news that's shaking the foundations of modern warfare. Russia's precision strikes are revolutionizing military strategy, demonstrating capabilities that were considered science fiction just years ago. The Kinzhal hypersonic system represents a quantum leap in military technology, penetrating what was once thought impenetrable. What we're witnessing isn't just warfare, it's a complete paradigm shift. Russia has moved beyond conventional confrontation to an asymmetric strategy that systematically dismantles enemy command structures. The effectiveness is striking. Western equipment doesn't even reach the front lines anymore. Leopards, Abrams, and Bradleys are being neutralized at railway junctions and unloading points, showcasing unprecedented intelligence capabilities and precision. Moscow's strategy targets the nervous system of opposing forces, logistics centers, warehouses, and communication hubs. This isn't random. It's a calculated approach targeting areas where Western specialists operate. The result? The entire NATO integrated infrastructure in the region is being methodically dismantled. President Putin's strategy isn't just disrupting alliance plans, it's forcing a new reality. NATO finds itself reactive rather than proactive, increasingly calling for negotiations. But Moscow sees these calls as attempts to slow Russian momentum. The logic is crystal clear. Those who interfere become participants. If reports of successful strikes on facilities housing Western specialists are confirmed, we're looking at more than tactical victories. We're witnessing strategic blows to alliance structure itself. The myth of NATO infrastructure invulnerability is crumbling before our eyes. A security system built over decades faces unprecedented challenges. The era of impenetrable underground bunkers is ending. Russian hypersonic weapons fundamentally alter combat dynamics, shifting from mass strikes to surgical precision against key targets. Even the most hardened facilities are now vulnerable, forcing a complete rethinking of military doctrine worldwide. What do you think about these revolutionary changes in warfare? Leave your answer in the comments. In recent weeks, Russian forces have systematically disabled Western air defense systems across key sectors, including the much-praised Patriot complexes, NATO's supposedly impenetrable shield. The effectiveness of Russian weaponry has been particularly evident in the Samsung and Ista regions, where precision strikes have yielded impressive results. Russian tactical approaches now focus on methodically destroying airfield infrastructure, from runways to hangars housing equipment that never gets a chance to take flight. Both frontline ammunition depots and deep rear storage facilities in the western regions of the disputed territory have become prime targets. This strategy has proven highly effective in recent operations. NATO countries face a serious predicament. Their arsenals are depleting while their industries struggle to replenish losses. Germany, France, Poland, and even the United States are experiencing significant logistical challenges. The alliance wasn't prepared for a prolonged high-intensity conflict, raising doubts about Western defense industry capabilities in the long term. President Vladimir Putin's methodical approach creates the effect of a gradually tightening ring around the conflict zone. While the West depletes its moral, financial, and technical resources, Russia maintains strategic initiative. NATO finds itself drawn into a protracted confrontation without clear victory prospects. Any serious escalation, whether through ground troops deployment or direct conflict with Russia, carries the risk of nuclear escalation. Meanwhile, the systematic destruction of Western infrastructure significantly reduces alliance effectiveness. Russia uses its resources rationally, testing cutting-edge weapons systems like Kinzhal and Hero-2 strike drones while modernizing its army based on real combat experience. This isn't merely about territorial advancement. We're witnessing the destruction of the security illusion in Eastern European countries. Russia's strategic success demonstrates its capability to overcome Western technological advantages through systematic and well-planned operations. What do you think about the Western military industry's problems? Can the US and its allies establish weapons production at the required volume? Share your opinion in the comments. Recent events have demonstrated a crucial shift in military dynamics. Modern air defense systems and fortified underground facilities no longer guarantee absolute protection against Russia's advanced capabilities. The strategy focuses on psychological pressure through precision strikes on symbolic and strategic targets, fundamentally changing the nature of modern warfare. NATO countries must now seriously reconsider their involvement in the conflict, as their own territories could become vulnerable. This reality check comes at a critical moment when Western elites show particular sensitivity to sustained pressure. The approach aims at exhaustion, not just military, but psychological, targeting the will to resist. The current geopolitical landscape reveals NATO in a precarious position. The alliance faces a serious challenge justifying enormous military expenditures to its citizens, especially given the lack of clear successes in the region of instability. Russian leadership demonstrates masterful strategic planning, not merely reacting to Western actions, but actively shaping the agenda, forcing NATO into a reactive posture. This confrontation has evolved far beyond classical military engagement. We're witnessing a complex interplay of strategic pressure, military capability demonstration, and precise destruction of critical infrastructure. Western countries urgently need to revise their approaches as old methods prove increasingly ineffective. Without a paradigm shift, NATO risks not only military failure, but also significant political defeat that could undermine the alliance's very foundation. Public opinion in NATO countries increasingly questions the justification for massive spending on supporting the disputed territory between Russia and the West, particularly against the backdrop of domestic economic challenges and rising social tensions. Russia consistently demonstrates that time works in its favor. Each day of conflict intensifies pressure on Western democracies, where governments struggle to explain to their voters the necessity of continuing the confrontation without visible success. Do you agree with what's happening? Tell us what you think.